First part of the presentation, we're going to give you some general information about the application process. We're going to talk about the specific types of financial aid that are available. And then I also want to leave you with a couple of things to think about. Before your student even borrows a penny, sit down and strategize and talk about, who's going to pay for what, how much debt you're going to take on, and all of those things. So this is a graph to talk about what we already know, that education pays. The higher the level of the student's education, the more money they're going to make per week, and the less likely they are to be unemployed in the future. So if you look on the right-hand side, the numbers in the blue, those are weekly salaries. And then, so you can see that the higher the level of education, the more money that a student will make. On the left-hand side, you can see that the unemployment rate goes down the higher the level of the student's education. These are college expenses. Four-year private institutions have really doubled over the last 20 to 30 years. So you can see that top line. Four-year public institutions have remained pretty constant, with a slight uptick in the last couple of years, and that has to do with the state budget cuts that we're seeing. As the states cut the budgets to the state universities, the schools are passing those costs on to students. And then two-year public, the bottom line is that really light green line. That's really kind of the best bang for your buck. Community colleges, those have remained pretty level funded over the last 20 to 30 years. These are some headlines that you might see in the news. Student loan debt burden, like I said, we're going to talk about that, give you some things to think about that. You see these students in the news that borrow $80,000, $100,000, and $120,000. How are they getting into so much debt? Some of it could be poor planning. Some of it is some of the other types of loans that students can borrow in addition to their Stafford loans. Is college worth the money? We'll talk about that. When kids come back home, the rate is 34%. 34% of students go away to school, they either can't get a job after they graduate, or they can't pay off their loans. So they end up and they come back to live with their parents. Three things that you need to do for the financial aid process. You need to file a FAFSA form. FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. That is your ticket into the financial aid process. There is a state grant form for first-time applicants. It's tied to the FAFSA form, and I'll show you that in a second. But that's the key. So if we do that today, we're already 1/3 of the way through the process. On time, there are deadlines. If you file it today, you're going to meet all of the deadlines. If you don't file it today, I'm going to tell you what those deadlines are, and you're going to meet the earliest one. You need to follow up. You are going to be your best advocates through this process. So, if you haven't heard from the school in a while, and you think you should have, give them a call. If they ask you for information, or if FIA asks you for information, get it back to us, or get back to the school as quickly as possible. Advocate for yourself through this process, and you can be fine. So these are the three things. If you remember nothing else from today, this is it. Financial aid is everything that you use to pay for a student's education. So it can be gift aid or free money. This is what you want to go after first. The grants, which is you're going to complete your FAFSA form, that will entitle you to be considered for grant eligibility. And then scholarships. Some students may be eligible for the Pittsburgh Promise, so that would be scholarship money. That's money that you don't have to pay back. These are the dollars you want to go after first. Self-help financial aid, loans. Students will incur loan debt that they will have to pay back, or they maybe will work study programs. They actually earn money, they get paid wages. That's considered financial aid. Financial aid can be merit-based or it can be need-based. Merit-based, your student has an athletic or an academic talent, schools will give them money for that. Need-based financial aid, you complete your FAFSA form based on the income, the assets, the other information that determines whether you receive those need-based grants. It comes from a lot of different sources. It comes from the federal government, it comes from the state, the schools themselves may have money for students, and then it also comes from private scholarship sources. Besides Pittsburgh Promise, that's great if your student's eligible for that, you definitely want to apply for that. I wouldn't stop there. If they go to a private institution, they may still have to borrow loans in addition to the Pittsburgh Promise money. So if you can get additional scholarships to make up that deficit that you don't have to borrow, you definitely would want to do that. High school guidance counselor can let you know the local scholarships that might be available that students could apply for. Those are the ones that they're most likely to earn. But you can check with clubs or organizations that you belong with, Kiwanis, Rotary, those kinds of places. Your employers might have scholarships, your bank, your church, your credit union. Check with all of those places to see if there's scholarships that students can apply for. I saw utility companies have scholarship. There are definitely places that you can check to have students apply. Might take a little effort, they might have to write some essays, they might have to get letters of recommendation, but if they put a little bit of effort in, they could get those additional dollars. We did have a student say to me, I sat down for 8 hours on Saturday and I only got one $500 scholarship. Well, I'd like to know the job that you can work for 8 hours and make $500. I mean, that's a pretty good rate of return. So when you think about it like that, every little bit is going to be worth it. There are some scholarship searches on the internet you can take a look at. PittsburghFoundation.org is Allegheny County specific scholarships. FastWeb.com is a scholarship search site. Students will complete a profile and then they are given scholarships that they might be eligible to apply for. FinAid.org has some odd scholarships out there. There's lots and lots of financial aid information, but then there's a search site. They have scholarships for like left-handed students or scholarships for students who are tall, for example. Those are where you find the applications for those. ScholarshipExperts.com and CollegeBoard.com are a couple of other sites that you can definitely take a look at. There is no guarantee that you get free money through this process. It is the joint responsibility of students and parents to pay to the extent possible. So you're going to do your due diligence, you're going to complete everything, and then see where the numbers come out at the end of the day. FAFSA form, take it into the programs. Like I said, that's for federal, that's for state, and then institutions use that to award their institutional financial aid as well. Your financial aid form for 13-14 became available on January 1st, so it's out there right now. We're going to go ahead and complete that today if you want to do that. FAFSA.gov is the site that you want to use, so make sure you go to FAFSA.gov. There is a site called FAFSA.com. If you go there, you can complete your FAFSA form. They will charge you $80 to do that. So just make sure that you're on this correct site. If they ask you for credit card information, delete out of there, go to FAFSA.gov. This is what the site looks like. So when you log in, this is what you're going to encounter. You're just going to click over here on the left-hand side where it says Start a New FAFSA Form. If you've already begun this process, maybe you've already logged in, then you would click on Login. So just first-time users would click on Start a New FAFSA Form. You're going to sign this application with a 4-digit PIN number. If you don't already have your 4-digit PIN number, we're going to get the PIN number, but we'll get it at the end of the application. And the reason is we'll pre-populate most of the information on that application, so you don't have to retype things several times. So it's actually there. You can get to it. You can get to the PIN site on this site up here. But like I said, we're actually going to sit down and complete the application. We'll just do it at the end of the application. There's a link there to do the PIN. There's an IRS data retrieval tool on the application. So how it would work is if 3 weeks have gone by since you've electronically filed your taxes, you might be able to use this IRS data retrieval tool. If it's been less than 3 weeks, it may not work for you, and that's okay. You can still list the information. If you have a completed return, you can still list that information. If you haven't completed your taxes, you can still estimate your information in there. So either way, that works. But if you can use this tool, we want you to, and the reason would be if your student's selected for verification, you would have to provide a tax transcript to the school. But if you use this link to the IRS, they've already verified the information for you, so you don't actually have to provide that extra paperwork to the school. So when you log in today, it may work for you, it may not work for you. Like I said, it's usually about a 3-week turnaround time since you filed your taxes. This is what the site looks like. So it links you to the IRS. You verify that information that's listed there. You click Submit at the bottom. It will pull that data into your form. So it's the household. There's a question that says, how many people are in your household, and then how many people are in the number in college. So it's the household information. If you have like mom, dad, student, there'll be 3 in the household, 1 in the number in college. If parents are divorced or separated, it's the parent who provides more than 50% of the student support that you use to file a FAFSA form, and then it's that household. So if parents are remarried, step-parent information is required to be listed on the FAFSA form. Adoptive parents do list their information, but foster parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, legal guardians, anyone else that the student happens to be living with, those people do not list their information on the FAFSA form. Those students are probably independent for some